So YouTube has introduced this new membership scheme, and it's a way for viewers of the channel to subscribe effectively to the channel and become members. And the theory is that you get perks for being members. Now, my issue is that I don't want to put a paywall between me and the people who want to watch my channel. But I do have quite a lot of people who've asked for a way to give back to the channel, just to say thank you. And I certainly do that with quite a few channels myself through Patreon, but I don't really want to set up a separate payment mechanism in Patreon. I really just like the fact that YouTube integrates the whole thing together. So I've been thinking, is this something that I'm interested in doing? And I think first off, I would say that there will never be a paywall between in front of any of the content that I produce. The reason that I produce these videos, apart from the fact that they're quite useful to me, especially the tour videos, is that I just want to help people be successful in their gardening. So that's my primary objective. So I produce a lot of content and I want to give that content away. And I think it's just summarised the content that I produce. So I produce a lot of YouTube videos. In particular, I really like the sowing and growing videos that I do every month. I put quite a lot of effort into those, and I think they're probably the most useful of the content that I produce. Second thing, I have an allotment diary. So every week I produce an allotment diary that tells you exactly what I'm sowing that particular week, what I'm planting that week, problems that I've had that week, all that sort of thing. I also have a year-long sowing guide, so that takes you through each month of the year. It says this is what I'm harvesting that month, this is what I'm sowing that month, this is what I'm planting that month, and it's a kind of summary view, and it doesn't assume grow lights or anything like that. It's got quite a lot of guidance and advice as to why I'm doing what I'm doing at what times and things like that. So I really like that. I've got an app, or a series of apps really, you might think. So an app for managing my seed packets, an app for managing my harvests and keeping track of those, an app to track all the different varieties that I grow and why I grow them and when I grow them and all of that, a sowing log that keeps track of everything that I sow, and it's all integrated together into a nice integrated system, but you can use individual parts of it if you want to. So that's quite nice, and a lot of people, thousands of people use that. And I've got an ebook, and it's growing. I'm writing it as I'm releasing it, so I'm writing a chapter by chapter as it's relevant. So right now I'm doing year round how to grow spinach all year round, how to grow peas and other legumes all year round, those sorts of things, and I'll be releasing those as the time comes right to start growing those things. So spinach and peas is in February, and so I'll be releasing those chapters, and I've already released chapters on early potatoes and things like that. So I've got those, and I'll have lots more coming. It's a nice little winter hobby for me, and that is primarily what it is. There's a few rainy days in winter I don't fancy going out, and so I just get down and enjoy creating a bit of content. So have those things. As I said, they'll always be free, no issues with that. There might occasionally be something that I put behind a paywall in theory, just to cover my costs, but if you just send me an email and it'll be clear how to do that, then I'll make sure you get access to it. So there'll never be any reason why you can't get something. But for example, last year I sent out about 30 loads of perennial kale cuttings, and I don't charge for the postage for those because I can't be bothered with checks or payments or anything like that. But occasionally, obviously that costs me, I don't know, 60 quid or something, and so I would like a way to recover those costs if I could find a way. So I think YouTube memberships is the way to do it, and this is my thinking really. So the first thing is that, as I said, quite a few people have asked, how can they just give back? If they're using my database and they really like it, on my apps and they really like it, or they're reading my ebook and they really like it, then they might want to give something back. It's totally up to you, doesn't matter if you don't, but it does allow me to kind of gauge the interest that there is in those things. When things are free, it's kind of hard to gauge how much interest there is, and therefore how much effort you should put into something. Now, YouTube videos provide a kind of built-in mechanism for that, you know, that if people are prepared to watch the adverts, then there must be some value in the content that you're producing, because the adverts are pretty awful, and I don't watch them myself because I subscribe to YouTube, so I don't have to watch any adverts. But yeah, so that's the first reason, just to try and gauge interest, give people a way to give back, and it'll be a trivial sum at 99 cents or something a month if you want to do that. So it's first thing is to gauge interest. So then there'll be some perk tiers, and these are kind of meaningless to me because I'm not really looking to make money out of it, as I said. But the things I'm thinking to put in the perks, and I'd like a bit of feedback around this, is a lot of people say, will you make a video on this, or will you write an ebook chapter or a section of a chapter on this? Lots of people ask me questions and things like that. So I was thinking, well, I'll probably pay a little bit more attention to making those videos, answering those questions, things like that, if a member's asking it. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, my ebook is written in an app called Notion. It's all published on the web, so that's no problem. You can get it on any device via web browser. But Notion has an app, a smartphone app, and a tablet app, and a desktop app, actually. And if you're a member and you ask me for it, maybe even just if you're a member, as long as I've got your email address, I can add you to Notion. Then you can install the app, and you'll get the whole experience that I get as a creator in Notion. So it's a little bit slicker, smartphone interface is a little bit nicer, but the real benefit that you get is that you can take my whole book and take a copy of it, and you can make it your own. And something that I'm really keen on is just letting people take any of my content, so all the way going forward, you can take copies of all my written content and you can customize it to your own growing environment, and there's a kind of little bit of a guide on how to do that in the ebook. So you can customize it and you can republish it if you want, and the only condition is really that you just credit me and just say, you know, this is based on the work by Steve Richards. But other than that, you can do whatever you want with it. You can sell it, you can print it, you can do whatever you want with it. So that's quite a nice benefit, because I think it's really nice to write your own gardening book and then to share it perhaps with people on your allotment site, because I'm in the northwest of England, by the sea, not very frosty, very windy, you know, all that. So it's different conditions to somebody who's down south, very different to somebody who's gardening in London, very different to somebody who's gardening in Scotland. So it would be really nice for people to kind of create customized versions for their interest. I think just as a reference, I'm using the ebook now I've written it as a reference for myself all the time. I'm really enjoying it for that purpose. So that's quite a nice perk, I think, being able to take the content. But you can also take the year-long growing guide and create your own version of that, and again republish it if you want to. There'll be loads of stuff in the future as well, so anything you want, basically, it'll be in this Notion app. You can take a copy of it, you can make it your own. And I'm kind of running out of ideas really now, as I said, because I don't really have anything that I want to put behind a paywall. And as I said, even those things that I've just said, I'll put behind a paywall. Oh, things like if you want to request free seeds or perennial kale cuttings, or any of my giveaways. I give quite a few things away. I gave a big grow light away a couple of months ago, and I've actually given some water pumps, battery powered water pumps away in March, hopefully. Anything that I give away anyway will be for members. But as I said, if you can't afford to be a member, not if you don't want to be a member, but if you can't afford to be a member, just send me an email and I'll just treat you just like a member, right? So you know, as I said, there's no paywall. You've just got to take that extra bit of effort to say, Steve, I really can't afford right now to be a member, but you know, here's my email, and you'll have all the benefits that come with being a member. apart from anything that YouTube does, you know, because I can't kind of make you a member through YouTube, but I can for all of my other content. But I'm not planning to put any video content or anything like that as members only, so that, you know, that shouldn't be an issue. So yeah, I'm just like a bit of feedback. Do you think it's worth it? Is anybody actually interested in becoming a member? It's a little bit of effort for me. It's not a lot, to be honest. But as I said, you know, part of it is just to gauge interest in some of this content where I don't have another mechanism to gauge interest. You know, for the YouTube videos, it's fine. I've got a mechanism that works for that. You know, as I said, people watching adverts is a kind of barrier to entry. But it's kind of unclear for some of the other things like the apps and the book and, you know, more stuff that I might do in the future, just how interested people are in me creating more of that sort of content and continuing to improve it and things like that. Anyway, I'll start rambling if I keep on going. So anyway, my name's Steve. This is the Seaside Kitchen, Garden and Allotment channel. Give me a bit of feedback and I'll see you soon.